Piers Morgan. That's the last guy in the world whose name should be Pierce. You know, because Pierce is like throb, thrust, jab. There's something very aggressive about Pierce. His name should be Schmush Morgan or Snot Morgan or some pathetic. That guy, he sits there when he looks like a monkey with a cork that's about to explode, and you say, hey, you need a colonic. Settle down.
How are you? Good to meet you, my friend. You doing all right?
I'm here.
All right. And all the folks here. Robert Blake. Have a seat. Well, that was Robert Blake sharing his thoughts on CNN TV talk show host Piers Morgan. I'm curious what he's going to say about me when we're through with this interview, because I've just met him for the first time. So do I have anything to worry about so far, or am I doing all right?
It's been a long, long road to this moment. I feel like, you know, I'm home at last. You know, I've never got along much with people. I've never been a people person.
But you were very moved when you came out here in this audience.
Yeah, that's because I'm where I belong. Mm-hmm. I'm in front of them. I entertain them. You know, when I was 2 years old, I danced and sang, and they threw pennies to me. And this is what I want to say. After all that septic tank of crooked cops and crooked DAs and all that stuff, and I thought for a long time I would not ever have a life back again. I don't even want to try anymore. And then your people called me, and I said, I don't ever want to do that again in my life. And they kept calling back again, and I said, you're wasting your time. Pretty soon I'm going to start insulting you. Get out of here. And this one girl said, what will it take to get you on our show? And I said, tell a guy to call me. And they said, okay. I figured I'd never hear from anybody again. I get a phone call, and he says his regular name, which I don't know what your regular name is.
I said, this is Phil McGraw.
Philip McGraw. I don't know who Philip McGraw is. And I'm about to hang up because I get a lot of terrible phone calls. Crazy people. There's no such thing as a private phone anymore. In 5 minutes, you can get him. So I said, yeah, fine, Philip McGraw. Who are you? He said, no, I'm Dr. Phil. And he said, I read your book. I love your book. And more than that, my wife loves your book.
You know, you told my producers that you wouldn't want to come on if I hadn't read your book. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And I said, I never, ever have a book on here if I don't read it cover to cover. And I did not tell you I read this book. I told you I read the book. I told you I reread the book. And then I told you I studied parts of the book and read parts of it to Robin at my desk. But I am telling you, this is one of the most fascinating things I have ever read. It is candid, it is insightful, and it is raw.
You know what he really said to me that moved me the most when I was on the phone with him? I said, why do you want me on your show? He said, because I want you to go back to work as an actor. You're a good actor. And that really...
So, can we talk about this book?
You can talk about whatever you want. I'm back where I belong, and I never thought I got here. I thought those crooked cops and the crooked DA and all those dirty, rotten bastards had taken my life away forever.
Well, you got upset when Piers Morgan asked you some questions. When I talked to you on the phone, you said, you can ask me anything.
Absolutely.
And is this book an admission of any kind? Are there any things that you're, at the later years of your life, that you're confessing to?
I had some scores to settle with some people in Hollywood, with some rotten, stinking cops, with certain people. And there are also things I got off my chest, people that I told how much I loved them. And I never told them before how much I loved them because I'm not easy at that, but I can write it.
I want to talk about you when you were a child, because you talk about your childhood, and it was a contrast in wonderfulness and really devastation at the same time, because you did not have a good relationship with your parents, true?
Well, they didn't want me, and as it turned out, I didn't want them. I wouldn't have got born. I mean, they used the coat hanger twice, and it didn't work. And then Frank Sinatra's mother wanted $15 for the abortion, and they didn't have it, and that's how I got here.
There were 2 attempts to abort you, literally with a coat hanger.
Yeah.
When you learned that, how does that make you feel?
Way back in the early 80s, I started researching myself. And I found out that my birth certificate is a phony. I never even had a birth certificate, that there was nobody there when I was born. I got a birth certificate 2 years later, and it's a lie. It's a forgery. You know, this book is not really a biography about me. It's really about God, because I'm not smart, and I'm not tough, and I'm not educated. I'm not any of those things. And God's been on my shoulder since I was in the womb, and has always been on my shoulder. Through the trial, through everything in my life. And it's a weird thing, because call it evil, call it the devil, call it ugly, call it whatever you want, that always stalked me too, all my life.
Robert says he told a well-known figure that he would kill him with his hands the next time he found the person alone. Find out who that person is and why Robert says those words when we come back. I do what I say. I do what I say. I told you no ambushes here.
Absolutely not.
All right, I'm back with Robert Blake. You said in the book, you talk about the fact that you don't have any friends left, you don't have any family left. And we were interviewing you before, you said, it's not the things that the people in your life take from you, it's the fact that when they take from you, you lose them too.
Yeah.
And so you have said, and this is a quote from the book, you said, I am writing this book from the grave. I have no one left. I have nothing left. Who in this world do you love? Who in this world do you still feel connected to?
I wish I could give you. I'll be back in a minute. I didn't invent this life of mine, and I wish I could lie to you. You know, the only people that can break your heart are the people that are in your heart. Cops didn't break my heart, but the people that you love are the only ones that can hurt you. And what I learned in that year in the can, when all my relatives were coming and saying, here, sign this, sign that, I said, that they're all gone. And it's true, I don't have a family, and I don't have any friends, and I don't have any money. And up until now, I didn't think I was ever going to have a career back. And I was willing to settle for that. When I'm out in the world, if I just keep my mouth shut and my nose clean and act like them, I'm okay. Because it's an ugly, dog-eat-dog world out there. And if you ain't counting your change, you're going to get screwed. Trust me. And guys
are you crazy? Do you think you're crazy? Or
by
do you think the world's
most
crazy?
people's standards, I'm committable. But by my standards, they're crazy.
Yeah.
And they don't know it.
A lot of people don't know that you started as with the Little Rascals, right? You were one of the first in that cast. On page 61 of your book, you said, I'm in public school where I never should have been. I'm being bullied and tortured on a daily basis. In fact, so terrified to even walk to school because the kids used to tease me, throw rocks at me. You said, hell, rocks. In fact, they threw cups of hot pee on me. Yeah. How does that happen?
Well, if you have a grammar school full of kids and 20% of them are miserable, tortured souls who have awful home lives and want to kill their parents and can't admit it, they're all looking for a punching bag. And I was the stranger. I didn't belong to any groups. I didn't come from any place. I didn't get there till I was like 10 years old. And I was the movie star kid.
You say Jay Leno bullied you.
Jay Leno kicks anybody who can't fight back. He makes fun of Robert Blake every night when Robert Blake is in solitary confinement fighting for his life, and Jay thinks it's funny. But worse than that, Mommy and Daddy think it's funny. So that's what little kids learn. I saw Jay Leno one day. I was riding my motorcycle and I went out to this joint called the Rock Store. And he shows up and I'm watching him. He walks way over here to sign some autographs. And I walked up to him and I said, one of these days, I'm going to find you without your henchmen and I'm going to rip your face open. He has never talked about me again. Not a word. Because when you scratch a bully, you always find a coward.
Sometimes people don't know if you're serious or if you're kidding. I get the feeling when you were talking to Jay Leno, you were serious.
I'm still serious about Jay Leno.
Okay.
If I found Jay Leno alone, I would settle for putting him in the hospital. I'd rather do worse, but I would settle for putting him in the hospital.
Yeah. But see, the thing I wonder
I got to just say this.
Go right ahead.
One more time. I have no people skills. I never have had. I am not housebroken. I am not housebroken.
All right, next, Robert Blake will explain what happened the night his wife was murdered. I'm here with Robert Blake. His memoir, Tales of a Rascal, can be bought on Amazon.com, and that's me saying it. It actually makes him feel a little awkward when I do, but I sense, but because he's not really about promoting, but this is a very interesting read. And you talk about it in the book, and I don't want to spend the whole time talking about that trial, because there's a lot more to you than a trial, but let's get that out of the way. You've said several times that there were crooked cops, that there were crooked judges, that there were just crooked people involved. When you were charged with the murder of your wife and ultimately acquitted,
yes.
Did that ruin you?
No. When that trial was over, everybody loved me. Not only because I'd been entertaining them since I was 2 years old, but because I beat the cops in a lousy, stinking, awful, ugly rap. And I owned the world. I was on the top of the world. I should not have even gone to a civil trial. I was broke. What you do is you just say, hey, nolo contendere. Judge, you make your own decisions and put them on my list. If I owe them $5 or $5 million, but I didn't care about life. I wanted to kill myself after that.
You say there were crooked cops, crooked judges, and you're very specific in here about some of those people and how they use this case to enrich themselves by writing books and getting famous and that sort of thing. But you never took the stand in the murder trial. I ask you now so you can say it publicly, did you kill your wife?
Of course not. That's a
Did
weird
you
thing
shoot her
for
in
you
the
to
head?
ask. That's a weird thing for you to ask.
No, it isn't a weird thing to
okay.
ask because you didn't take the stand, and people need to hear you say that.
Sure. You can hear me say that. Of course I didn't kill my wife. Not only that I didn't kill her, but all the evidence proved that I couldn't have killed her, that it was physically impossible for me to have done it.
Well, and one of the things you're talking about is you had a gun on you that night. They tested that gun. That gun had not been fired. It was not used in the killing. So clearly she wasn't shot with the gun. Why'd you have a gun at dinner?
I carried a gun for about 3 or 4 years because I spent a lot of time in South Central working with gangs, and I had some really, really scary experiences there. So I went to, and I got a permit to carry a concealed weapon, and so I just got in the habit of carrying it, and it was kind of comforting.
Did you hire someone to kill your wife?
Of course not.
Of course not. You say no.
Let me just put it this way.
All right.
I was worth $25 million, and I'm in Hollywood and I wanted somebody killed, would I be involved at all? Wouldn't I go to some lawyer? You go to lawyers in Hollywood, and they go to somebody who goes to somebody who goes to somebody, and then somebody goes to a state where my wife is, and she disappears. She doesn't get shot. She disappears off the face of the earth. Would I be stupid enough to say, okay, I'm going to take her to dinner tonight? You're going to kill her when I'm not looking. Right? Do we have a deal? I'll have a deal with you. We're going to get her killed. And I'm going to be there because I'm that fucking stupid.
So you would have a better plan.
I mean, I'm stupid. But is there any logic in the universe to a man who has $25 million at his command to wind up doing something that crazy?
What happened the night she was shot? You went to dinner.
We went to dinner. When we got back to the car, because I kept the gun back here, it wasn't there. When I sat in the seat, it wasn't there. And I said, oh, my God, I left it in the restaurant. Some kid's going to pick it up. What's going to happen? Ran back to the restaurant, got the gun, came back, and Bonnie had been shot. I didn't know she had been shot because it didn't look that way. I thought that she had had a seizure or a faint or something like that. And I got out and started running the houses and banging on doors, trying to get somebody to call for help. And that's what happened.
Do you have any idea who would have shot her or why?
What I think, Bonnie had a illegal, illicit kind of life. I think that she had a lot of enemies because she burned people. And that's the name of that tune.
You dedicate this book to your daughter, Rosie. You said, for Rosie, for all eternity. How old is Rosie now?
Rosie's 10 years old.
10?
I want to kind of leave that alone. I'll make this deal with you. I promise you that if I ever decide to talk out loud about what really broke my heart after the murder trial, spending a year in solitary in the can ain't nothing compared to what happened to me afterward. If I ever decide to tell anybody that, and I'm still above the ground, and you're still above the ground, I'll come here and I'll tell you.
All right, fair enough. Let's take a break. I'm here with actor and author of Tales of a Rascal, Robert Blake. And Robert, one of the things that
I just want to say this again really, really quickly.
Yeah, go ahead, I'll get back to you all.
When I came out here, it was like once again when I was 2 years old and they threw money and they applauded because I danced for them. I never think about people liking me and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not that kind of a person. I got it from entertaining them for generation after generation, and that was my home. And when I sat here, I felt like it's been a long time, but I'm home again. That's all I have in life. I mean, that's the only thing that God ever gave me. Okay, I'm through.
Do you care about anybody? You have grown children. You have Rosie. Do you care about those people?
I said I don't have anybody. I didn't say I didn't care about anybody.
Right.
I mean...
But you do care about them.
I care a lot about them.
There were times that you were not taking good care of yourself, and you talked about this. This is Robert talking about being addicted to drugs. Take a look at this.
I'm a dope fiend, which is why I'm tired right now, because I didn't sleep last night. Lack of sleep doesn't kill you, but the graveyard is full of alkies and dope fiends. I abused any kind of upper. Benzedrine, Dexedrine, all the dreens and schmeens and all that, and the downers, second all, two and all, three and all, It doesn't make any difference what it is. If you cook your shoes and I eat them and it makes me feel different, I'll steal all the shoes you got and cook them myself. That's what dope fiends do. Boy, that guy's pretty pathetic. What are you doing with him on your show? Woo.
Did drugs get in the way of what you love? Did that get in the way of your career? Did it get in the way of you being an entertainer?
No, not at all. I was probably the most successful dope fiend or juicer that you'll ever meet. And then all of a sudden it all fell apart at once and I wound up with a .357 Magnum in my mouth. That's the way it was. And when it came apart, everything came apart.
So you say...
There was nothing left.
See, all right, now I get to ask a few of my questions.
Finally.
God forbid, if you die next week, next month, will you die alone?
Yeah. It's a sin to die alone, but I would. I don't care about dying. I've been dead before. It ain't that big a deal. I'm honestly, seriously with you. I want to live, but I'm definitely not afraid to die. I've been there. That stuff in the middle scares me. I don't want to be in a hospital with somebody feeding me oatmeal and reading me the papers.
But if you die in that apartment completely alone, nobody would even know, is what you're saying. You have no relationships.
I guess I never thought about it that way, but it's true right now.
You have no relationships. If you died in that apartment, we'd find you 2 weeks later. Is that what you're saying? You have nobody you go to lunch with? You have nobody you call in the morning and say, how's it going? Nothing.
Let's say I don't know anybody by their first name. And I've been...
Is that a failure?
There's a lot of things about my life that are a failure.
Is that a failure?
I failed as a friend. I failed as a husband. I failed as a father. What the hell haven't I failed at? I couldn't take advantage of many of the gifts of life that most people have quite easily. They expect to be around people who love them and want the best for them. I expect to be around losers who want me dead. So it's a long reach for me to say, okay, I'm going to change all that. And I'm going to have nothing but wonderful people. If life was that easy, there wouldn't be any need for any Dr. Phils to fix anybody because nobody would be sick. It don't work that way. I don't care what people think of me. I don't care. I care when I go to bed at night.
You do care what people think of you. You do care what people think of you.
I care. No, I care what they think of my performance.
When you walked out here, you were not performing. You walked out here, and these people warmly and respectfully welcomed you, and
Yes.
it moved you. You do care. Don't tell me you don't.
I care about it as an artist. I assume they were applauding the fact that I've entertained them since I was 2 years old. Not that I happen to be the most handsome guy in the world, or the most charming guy in the world, or the most delicious human being in the world. When I go to bed at night, I talk to God. Hey, boss, how do we do today? That's all there is. If I had to start caring what people think of me, I'd blow my brains out. I don't have any people skills.
All right, well, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Let's take a break here. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. And one of the things that Robert talks about in this book are something that are very special to him. Because he says throughout his life, there have been angels. There have been angels that touched his life and shared with him. And we're going to mention and honor some of them when we come back. Why do people like Natalie Wood, why did she love you so much?
Because Natalie was like me. Natalie had the same life that I did. We were soulmates. There have been other people in my life.
She was an angel in your life, you said. She was an angel.
Oh, God, yes. Whenever and wherever. There was never a time.
Who else?
Barbara Walters saved my life. That quote right there. What an amazing book. Barbara Walters wrote that quote. She was an angel who came in out of nowhere.
You came back to the car and found your wife shot to death. What did you think? What did you feel?
God, I wish I could answer you.
If you didn't kill Bonnie, who did?
In my heart, I believe that some man, 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago, because she used to get married to them, I think she destroyed a lot of lives. And don't ask me how she got that interview, because everybody in the world wanted to interview me when I was in that box dying, and nobody got it. But she got it, and 2 days later, she saved my life. How did I wind up on your show, Chief? How did I wind up on your show? Where did that angel come from in your staff that kept banging the hell out of my head until I finally listened to?
This is Astra Austin, who has been working with you the entire time.
That's my pal.
Yeah. So, why did you not give up on him?
I felt that he needed to be heard. And all of the bark and bite that he had, I really don't believe that that is entirely who he is.
He says he has no social skills. You can attest to that.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I need to brush up on that.
I mean, because really, you would call her, she would call you, and you would say, "Hey, Toots, who do you think you're talking to here?"
I swore at her. I said, "Get the hell out of my life. I'm not going to be a chump again for you or anybody else on the planet." And she said, "Okay." And then she'd send me an email and pray. What you have to do is examine your relationship with God and whether or not you might be an angel. Because all of a sudden you got very smart and very shrewd and very cool, and you got the crazy man out of the cage and brought him here.
Well, let me tell you, she is the best of the best. You're not dealing with some chump there either, I'll tell you.
I'm not dealing with some chump here either. This is a great day for me. And they're not too bad either.
But let me tell you something.
It don't get any better than this for me.
You know, Astra and I talked about this. We did, and she said, "Do you want to do this or do you not?" And I said, "I do want to talk to him."
How did she get you to call me?
She said, "Trust me, I want you to call him." I have a lot of confidence and faith in her. She doesn't ask me to do that very often. I do it almost never. And she said, he said he will not talk unless you tell him that you have actually read the book. He doesn't want your staff telling him. He wants you to look him in the eye over the phone and tell him you read the book.
See, when
and
all
I said,
that
okay,
stuff lines up.
I think people have a way of going through life. And I think you've got a philosophy of going through life. I think you feel like you have been hurt. I think you feel like you've been betrayed. You've been kicked in the teeth. And I think your attitude is, if I don't care, it won't hurt, and I'm going to get them before they get me. But I think the truth is, I think you do care. And I think you do want to connect with people through your art, through what you do. I think that's a great way to connect with people, and I hope you do. Because I, for one, don't want to get up and open the paper or get on the internet someday and say,
they found him.
Robert Blake was found in his apartment. He was presumed to have been dead for 2 weeks. I don't want that to happen in your life. I want you to have somebody in your life. I want you to get in the game. And that's just my sense. And I think God will put you back in the game.
I'm glad you didn't start the interview this way, because it is true. I did invent a junkyard dog, and that became me. And people said, leave him alone unless you're ready to shoot him. And it did keep people away.
I think you see the world as a very hostile place. And I think it was a real stretch for you to come here. And I have one last question for you. If this is the last interview you ever do, what is the last thing you want to say if people are never to hear from you again?
Play that clip of me singing to Rosie.
Over your shoulder?
You're the end of the rainbow, my pot of gold, your daddy's little girl to have and hold. The precious gem is what you are, your daddy's bright and shining star. You're the spirit of Christmas, my star on a tree. You're the Easter bunny that God sent to me. Your beauty and joy, and you're God's favorite toy. and your daddy's little girl, your beauty and joy, and your God's favorite toy, and your daddy's little girl.
Well, I want to thank my guest, Robert Blake. Robert Blake's memoir, Tales of a Rascal, can be bought on Amazon.com. And the only thing I have to say is just make up your own mind about Robert Blake. You've heard what he said. The only thing that I really have to disagree with, and I meant to say it at the time, but I'll say it now, I know Jay Leno really well. I've known him for a long time. He is a good man with a good heart. And he makes jokes about me like he does other people, and I think sometimes we just have to kind of roll with the punches. A lot of jokes have been made about him, and he makes a lot of jokes about others, but he is a good man with a good heart. So we do disagree about that. Dr.